And we've seen Donald Trump recently join TikTok. He's trying to reach those young voters. It was a surprise move. He's had great success so far in reaching a new audience. Let's have a look at his latest post. Here he is with YouTube star Logan Paul.
And where down we...
I'm scared.
Is he taking note of what is happening in Europe and recognising younger voters have to be reached via these new platforms? It can be quite difficult to get through to them in the mainstream media.
I'm sure he is. I mean, of course, Donald Trump's extraordinary success in 2016 was in large part the result of him using Twitter so well. Of course, the then pre-Elon Musk Twitter couldn't forgive itself for being used in this way, and was obviously mortified. But remember how well he used Twitter. All of the ad money that his opponents were spending on the traditional networks, he didn't need to spend because everyone was writing about him and talking about him on the basis of any moment's tweet. His two thumbs saved millions and millions of dollars of ad campaign spending. This time, it's sort of inevitable he'll try other mediums, and the TikTok will be one of them. And we'll see if it works. We'll see. There's no reason why young Americans are going to have to vote Democrat any more than why young French voters are going to have to vote for the far left parties there. But Trump is, of course, an extremely engaging performer, and he's a man who grew up in the media. He was a television star before he was president. He's very, very aware and very canny about using media and social media. So it'll be very interesting. I suspect that his rivals will do everything they can to cut off this way of accessing directly the public. But there won't be very much they can do.
Now, let's talk about the Hamas-Israeli war, the US-backed ceasefire proposal. The negotiations there are continuing. Hamas has sent back an unworkable counteroffer. Even the US Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, acknowledges that the war's going to go on with that unworkable counter from Hamas. They're refusing to agree to a plan that would include the release of hostages in exchange for a ceasefire. But it's worth noting, Douglas, that the Biden administration has the likes of National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who has said some of the amendments proposed by Hamas are minor and anticipated. It's almost like he's negotiating on their behalf. So much for not negotiating with terrorists. It seems the Biden administration has some who are negotiating on behalf of terrorists.
Well, I find this latest round of peace talks to be an extraordinary set of events. Israel is trying to get the remaining hostages back. It performed, or the IDF performed, Special Forces performed an extraordinarily impressive raid this past week in which they rescued four of the poor Israelis who were stolen from the Nova Party on the 7th of October last year and have been tortured and more in captivity all the last 8 months. So the Israelis want to find a way, of course, to get the hostages back. With the Americans and other interlocutors, they've got this plan, and this plan would bring an end to the war. Now, who is the party that refuses to bring an end to the war? It's Hamas. And I wonder, Rita, whether all the morons protesting on the streets of Australia and America and everywhere else in the West, calling for ceasefire, will register for even a moment that a ceasefire actually is on the table once again. And who is it that has rejected it? Hamas. And I wonder whether any of these morons will notice this. I doubt it. But if the war is going to go on, everybody can say now with 100% certainty, as you could for the last 8 months, the reason that there is no ceasefire is because of Hamas.